Good afternoon, Sarah. I understand that you have some computers in your computer classroom, actually Chromebooks to be specific, that you'd like to be able to monitor. You'd like to be able to actually see what the students are doing during class, see what websites they're viewing, and also be able to have some control over their Chromebooks. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so today I'm going to take you through our SoftLINK tutor console. This is the interface that you would actually use while you're actually monitoring your student Chromebooks. And the first thing I want to point out to you with SoftLINK is that it is capable of monitoring across different software platforms. So today I'm actually connected to an Android device. I'm connected to a couple of different Chromebooks. This one's a Chromebook as well as this one over here. We have a Mac that I'm connected to, and the rest are different flavors of Windows XP all the way up through Windows 10. We are compatible with all of those operating systems, as well as Linux, which isn't shown here, and we can also do some limited iPad functionality as well.
Oh, great.
So the first thing that we're going to review today is our thumbnail screen. That's the screen that we're looking at right now. It's also called our monitor screen. And this is going to give you an actual visual indication of what all the students are currently doing in the classroom. You'll notice that there's some controls down here at the bottom of the screen. We have a slider that's going to allow you to decrease or increase the thumbnail sizes. So as I slide to the left, you'll see that the thumbnails decrease in size. If you are reducing that size to that extent, you're going to want to turn on the zoom in button. As soon as I put that check mark in that button, you'll notice that whenever I mouse over one of these thumbnails, it's actually going to give me a larger view of that student's screen. For the rest of the presentation, I'm going to uncheck that, and we're going to go ahead and increase these thumbnails again to where they were. The other indicators are the application and website controls. Both these buttons have a check mark in them right now. That means they are active. And what that shows you is exactly what app may be running on a device and also what website is being visited. So if you look at these thumbnails, we're going to look around the screen here. The left-hand corner is going to show you the app that's running. So it's not very pertinent on the actual Chromebooks because everything on a Chromebook is running in the actual web browser. So you're always going to get this one particular logo. But on the Windows devices, you're actually going to get like Internet Explorer is running on this machine, so you're going to get the Internet Explorer icon. We'll see Mozilla running on this Mac. We'll also notice that we have Word running on this computer. There's one running Excel. So it is going to give you an indication as to what application they're running. We also have the website indicator, which is going to appear in the upper right-hand corner of these screens. So on this Chromebook, we actually have Lego.com loaded, so you can see the Lego icon appearing. On this Chromebook, we're at Google, so you have the Google G appearing there. And then you'll also notice that a few of these images actually have some color indicators. So on the Google, we have a green background, which means that it's one of our approved websites. Up here, we have Facebook loaded. You'll notice it's appearing as a red background. And over here we have Bing loaded, and it is not on either one of the lists. You'll notice it has a gray background instead of a colored background.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, Sarah, up to this point?
No, it looks really good so far.
So once you are viewing these devices, you may want to actually see what the devices are doing just a little bit clearer. So if we want to view what a student's doing, we can just double-click on their thumbnail. And since we're actually focusing on the Chromebooks today, we're just going to double-click on one of these Chromebooks. And you're going to notice that as soon as I do select that individual, I'm going to get a windowed view of that student screen. During this viewing session, you're going to have a couple of viewing modes available to you, and notice this is the drop-down button. You're going to have a share and a watch mode. These particular modes deal directly with how the keyboard and mouse are interacting with the student's device. The default mode for SoftLINK is going to be the share mode. The share mode, if you'll notice, has two green buttons here on the icon. The green indicates who has keyboard and mouse control, and the upper image is the teacher. The image behind the teacher is the student. So since both of them have a green circle, they both have keyboard and mouse control at this point. So you would be able to interact with this student's Chromebook. You'd be able to click on links. You'd be able to type into the search bars. So you would be able to actually interact with that student's device. If we select watch, what you're going to notice is that's going to change. Now we have a red circle on the instructor's image, a green on the student. Now we're in a pure observation mode. We're just watching what the student's doing. Our keyboard and mouse are not connected to the student's Chromebook, so there's no way to actually interfere with what the student may be doing at this point. So this is a actual function that we do recommend that customers change to the actual watch mode, so that they're not going to accidentally start interfering with whatever a student may be doing without actually intending to do so. It takes a conscious effort to go ahead and switch that mode and actually take control of their keyboard and mouse. The buttons, as we continue across the screen, scale to fit just actually fits the whole screen onto your monitor or inside the window. This isn't typically an issue with Chromebooks. It would be an issue for actual computers where the screen resolutions are much higher and you need to fit all their desktop space onto the instructor's screen. Full screen does just that. It actually opens up the student screen using the entire expanse of your teacher's monitor. The chat function, if I select chat, you're going to notice that it opens up a chat window on the teacher station. It's also going to open up a chat window on the student station. So you'll notice that now I can go ahead and type in hi, and my message is going to appear on the student's Chromebook. And if the Chromebook actually types hi in return, we're going to see exactly the message going back and forth. So it is a two-way communication between those two devices at that point. If you do need to actually take and invite more individuals into this conversation, you can select the invite button, and then it's going to list all the students in your classroom, and you'd be able to invite as many individuals as you'd like into that particular chat session. And then you're always in control with SoftLINK, so at any point when you do want to end the chat session, you can select close. It's going to close the chat window on both the teacher screen and on the student screen as well. The next button over is send a message. Send a message is going to allow you to send a direct message out to the actual student screens. In this case, I could actually type in classes over in 5 minutes, and then if I select send, the message will actually appear in the lower right-hand corner of the student screen. If I actually put a time limit, it's going to appear in that corner, and it will disappear after that set time period. If a time limit is not set, it will require the students to acknowledge that message, actually to select the close button in order for that message to disappear off of their screen.
Okay.
The next button over is the clipboard. So as students are copying and pasting information during class, you can go ahead and retrieve whatever may be on their clipboard at any point in time. And as a teacher, if you want to share a picture or some sort of information that you have copied on your teacher's machine out to a student's machine, you can go ahead and select Send Clipboard, and it's going to push that information out to that student's clipboard as well. We're actually just going to skip over the settings button. That's something that typically you're not going to have to deal with when you're in the classroom environment. And then the last button here is Capture Screenshot. If I select Capture Screenshot, it's going to allow me to actually take and save that student screen as either a bitmap, a PNG, or a JPEG file. So you'll actually have a picture of their screen. It will have their name, their actual date and time stamp on the image as well, so that you have all that information available to you if you do need a little bit of history in terms of what the student might have been doing during the class period.
Okay. I can see where that could be very handy.
So that's most of the features that are available to you while you're actually viewing a student station. Do you have any questions about the viewing?
I don't think so. It looks pretty straightforward.
All right, so we're going to close the viewing window. And the next thing we're going to do is look at a couple of our other video controls that we have available. We're going to look at lock, and we're also going to look at the show menu. So the lock functionality is the ability to actually take and lock down any of the student's devices. And before I actually go into that, I do want to go over exactly how you select student devices when you're performing these functions. So if you'll notice, we have one device here that's selected at the moment. It's got the blue screen appearing around their thumbnail. If I click in the gray area, you'll notice that blue indicators now disappears. So whenever you see an icon or a thumbnail surrounded by that blue field, that means that station is actually selected. Now, all the functions on SoftLINK are going to actually be performed on the individuals that are selected, except for when no one is selected. So I actually clicked onto this gray area. None of the stations are selected at this point. So any command that I actually issue is going to be performed on all the stations. So if you have no one selected, you can think of it as the entire class actually being selected. Now, if you want to perform a function on just a few individuals, all of the normal shortcuts for Windows do work in SoftLINK. So if I click on this particular station and I hold down my Shift key and then click on the Marty workstation here, you'll notice it's actually going to highlight all the stations in between. If I click on this station and then hold down my Control key, I can actually go around and randomly click on stations, and now I have just those particular stations selected. And again, if I click on the gray space, you can think of it as being everyone selected. So I'm going to show you what the lock function does. When I select lock, you're going to notice that a different image actually appears on the different workstations that I have, depending on the operating system that's running. And you're going to actually notice that now all the devices are locked down. These two are the Chromebooks, this one's the Android, this is the Mac, and the rest are Windows devices. So at this point in time, their devices are completely locked. They're unable to actually do anything else with the class, during class. The Chromebook, the PC, the Mac, all of them are going to be pretty much useless to the student until you actually unlock the station again. Now, you'll notice I will show you that if I actually select a couple of these individuals, so I'll select the two Chromebooks. If I select Unlock, you're going to notice that I'm unlocking only the stations that I actually had selected. Everyone else is going to remain locked. So you can perform the functions on any individual, any group of individuals, or the entire class at one time. Now, if I go ahead and select Unlock after I have no one selected, you'll notice it's going to actually unlock the rest of the student stations. So the unlock and the lock function, the lock is going to be used for not only gaining the students' attentions if you need to. You can also, of course, lock the devices down whenever you're lecturing the students or going over some material. You want to make sure that they're not using their Chromebooks. I've even seen it used to actually lock down some workstations in classrooms that have stationary units that just to prevent the students from all sitting at the back of the classroom, just to force everyone to sit closer toward the front of the class.
I can see this definitely being beneficial in my classroom to keep the students on task when I need to.
Absolutely. It's going to be very helpful to maintain control and make sure the students are only using their devices when you want them to be able to use them. Now, the next function we're going to go over is the show menu. And if I select the show menu, we have a few different options available. For the actual Chromebooks, however, the only two that are going to be available are the show, the top function here, and the show application. What this is going to allow you to do is actually broadcast whatever's on the teacher's screen out to the students' Chromebooks. So if I select show, it's going to take all of the desktop space on my instructor's computer, and it's going to send it out to the student screen. So they will see my Windows taskbar. They're going to see how I can navigate through the actual operating system. I can go ahead and launch whatever software I want them to launch, whatever I want them to be able to view, and they're going to see exactly what I'm doing directly on the screen in front of them. So if you have a classroom that doesn't have a projector or a smart board, this is going to be very useful because you can actually use this in place of those devices. You're going to be able to put that information right in front of them. They're all going to have that perfect view of whatever it is you want to display to them.
Yeah, because sometimes in my classroom, kids in the back of the room say that they can't see the projected screen up front, so this would solve that issue for them, it seems.
Yes, it would. And I know a lot of teachers do use it just for that reason. And not only that, but it is going to make sure that, again, they're not going to be able to use their Chromebook while you are projecting that information out to them. So if you did want them to actually work along, of course you could still go ahead and put your teacher screen up onto your projector, and then they'd be able to work along on their Chromebook. But in those instances when you actually want to be able to just show them this information and you want to make sure that they're not going to be using their Chromebook, what better way than to just go ahead and put that information on the screen right in front of them. So not only are you blocking their device, but you're also going to give them a better view of what it is you want to share with them.
Mm-hmm.
The next item is show application. And when you do a show application, it's going to pop up a window that's going to allow you to select an active app that's running on your computer. So if let's say that you want to show a PowerPoint presentation out to your students. If you have PowerPoint running on your teacher station, you would go ahead and select it from the list of running apps. And when you actually do the show, it's going to only broadcast out that portion of your screen. So if you have PowerPoint full screen, it's going to show, the whole desktop of your Windows machine out to the students, but it's only going to be that one PowerPoint window. What's nice about the show application, you can think of it as a safety net. It's going to prevent students from actually seeing information you don't want them to see. So if you did have PowerPoint maximized on your screen, and let's say you accidentally hit the minimize button while you're doing your presentation, rather than the students seeing everything that's on your desktop, perhaps you have your email open in the background, maybe you have your grade books, instead of them seeing that those programs that you have running because you're a multitasker, they're just going to see a black screen because SoftLink's going to make sure they're only going to see that one particular application that you've selected. So
Okay.
another nice feature that SoftLink's going to provide you. So if you don't have any questions about the lock functionality or the show menu, we're just going to work our way down the left-hand column here, and we'll actually go through the other functions that SoftLink's going to provide for you with the Chromebooks.
Okay.
So the first one that I'm going to go over is the Internet tab, and you'll notice it has a globe here. When I switch to that, you're going to notice that instead of thumbnails, we're going to have icons at this point. We have two columns. We have an approved website column and a restricted website. And then we have all the controls, again, located at the bottom of the screen. So I'm sure that, during class, students, they're going to be surfing the web, and you're going to want them to have access to certain websites. But if you're like many of our other customers, the students tend to venture off to websites that aren't necessarily the best sites to be visiting during class. They're either going to draw their attention away from whatever the teacher's actually going over, or they're just going to go to sites that really aren't made for a school environment. So SoftLink's going to give you the control that you need to make sure that the students can only visit the websites that they need to during class. Right now, all the devices are unrestricted, meaning they can visit any website they'd like to. Now you'll notice that we have some buttons down here that match our columns. We have approved only, we have block restricted, and we have restrict all. What's going to happen is if I select approved only, you're going to notice that these icons at the top of the screen are going to update. So as I select approved only, you're going to see the globe with a green shield. And what this means is all of the devices I'm connected to now can only visit the websites that I have listed in my approved website list. So they'll be able to visit Google, they'll be able to visit Lego.com, but they're not going to be able to go to any other website. What's going to happen if they attempt to visit a different website, they'll get a web page that has our SoftLink logo on it that indicates to them that they're unable to go to any other websites, and it's also going to list all the approved websites on that particular page. So they'll have a direct link to the sites that you are allowing them to visit. So that's one way of locking down their Chromebooks. Another way of doing it is just making sure they can't visit the sites that you don't want them to visit. So if you want to actually open up the internet a little bit for them, but you just want to make sure, let's say, that they don't visit social media sites during class, we can go ahead and instead select block restricted. You'll notice that the globe now has a red shield over top of it instead of a green shield. And now those devices will be able to visit any website they would like, except for the websites that are in my restricted website list. So they wouldn't be able to visit ESPN at the moment, Facebook, or YouTube. They could venture to any other site except for those three. And then, of course, there's one other option, which is restrict all. When you select restrict all, it's going to change this icon to a globe with a padlock over top of it, and then they wouldn't be able to visit the web at all. So I'm sure that you can see that that's kind of going to be beneficial to you in your classroom, and you're going to be able to have varying control over exactly what websites are going to be able to actually view.
Absolutely.
Some other functions on this particular tab, if I actually switch to a different view, so if I right-click on this gray area and I select Details, you're going to notice it's also going to list out the websites they're actually on. So you're going to see exactly which websites they're on. It's still going to give you an indication as to what actual mode you're in. So you'll notice that it has a red dot on these icons indicating that they're restricted websites only. If I select Approved Only, you're going to see that it changes to a green dot, so you know that they're approved only at that point. And what's nice about this is if you see a website that they're visiting that you want to actually go ahead and add to one of these lists, like YouTube's being listed right here, I could go ahead and right-click on that particular page, and I can go ahead and add it straight into one of my lists. So if I wanted to go ahead and add this Google page into my restricted list, I could right-click, select Add to Restricted, and it's going to populate that URL straight into my restricted list. So you do have a very quick way of adding these particular web pages into either one of those lists. The other thing that's nice is when you do actually create these lists, you're able to take and launch these pages onto the students' devices if you'd like to. So let's say you have a web page that all the students need to visit, but it's a complicated URL that you need to write on the board so that they're able to go ahead and enter that into their browser and go to that site. Well, rather than actually wait for them to enter all that information in, you can just go ahead and if I wanted to send everyone to lego.com, I could right-click on it. I could say send to students, and it's actually going to launch that web browser on all of the student machines and go ahead and pull up that website for them. So, you know, a time saver there. You're not going to be waiting for all the students to actually get to the point you need them to. You can just go ahead and force all their devices to go ahead and get to that web page automatically.
Wow, I can definitely see that being very beneficial in the classroom.
So those are some of the functions that you have for the websites. And of course, when you go to any one of these tabs, you're also going to get a drop-down menu at the top of the screen. So you'll notice that we have a web drop-down menu associated with this Internet tab. What this is going to allow you to do is also create different lists. So if you actually have different classes and you need a different web restriction list for each class, you can go ahead and save your list and load in the list that you need for each particular class period. And then the other thing that's really nice is you have a history available as well. So if you go down to the bottom of this list and select history, you're going to actually see a history of all the devices and also the web pages they visited for the day. And all this information, if you want, you can go ahead and save it here, but you can also set up SoftLINK to automatically save this information at the end of the day. So as soon as you shut down your tutor console here, it would actually go ahead and save this information so you'd have access to it later on if you need to.
Okay.
All right, so we've gone over the web tab here. I'm going to change back to my large icon view. And we're just going to move down the table here a little bit, and we're going to go to the survey button here. Looks like a pie chart. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and unrestrict all these websites for everyone again. And when I go down to the pie chart, this is actually our quick question and answer mode, if you will. So you can go ahead and you can type in a question that you'd like to have the class answer. You have to provide responses for this question because it is a multiple choice scenario. So today I'm just going to type in, what day is it? And we're going to type in our responses. Notice that the responses need to be separated by a comma. All right, so I put in 5 responses for them. At this point, once you have your question typed in and your responses, you can select the send button. And the send is going to actually take and it's going to send this question out to the student devices. So now we're just going to move back to our thumbnail view so that you can actually see what's occurring on all the screens. Once we go to this view, we're just going to open up a few of these different devices. So let's open up this Windows device. You're going to notice that they have that question posed to them. They have possible answers. I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions here. So we're going to say Monday on that particular student's device. We're going to go to a few others here. So we want to get a variety of responses available to us. We'll also look at, this is what it actually looks like on a Chrome device. So you'll notice that you can see what type of view that they have when they get the question. We're going to answer for both the Chrome devices here, and let's answer for one more. We're going to answer, here's what it looks like on an Android. So we're going to go ahead and answer for the Android as well. So now that we've answered some questions, we're going to go back to the Survey tab. And what you're going to see is we have some actual results calculated. I actually answered the question for 5 devices. And so you're going to notice that we have a percentage breakdown. The percentages are going to be based upon the actual respondees. So since I answered for 5 devices, we're going to have that 20% breakdown. Each device answered a different particular response. It's also going to calculate how many individuals have not answered the question at this point, so we know that 16 have not actually answered as of yet. And then not only are you going to be able to have these calculations available to you, you can save these results. So if you need to, you can go ahead and get the actual tally for everyone's particular responses. But you can also show these results out to the students so they can kind of see how they compare with their classmates, gauge how they may have performed on that particular question. So if I select the Show button, we're going to go back to the Thumbnail tab again, and you're going to notice that the devices that I actually answered the question for, they're going to have a pie chart that's going to show the actual breakdown of what the responses were for the entire class. So that's what it looked like on a Chromebook. If we go to a Windows device, you're going to notice just a little bit different a display of the actual pie chart, but you're still getting the same information. So that's what's available to you for the Survey tab. And then, of course, when we go back to the Survey tab, we can go ahead and cancel this and ask another question if we'd like, or continue to show that information. Once you do cancel this, you always have an actual inventory of all the questions you've ever asked. So if I select the Add button, you'll see the different questions I've asked in the past. So you are able to actually pull those up at any time. Again, you do have another drop-down at the top with the surveys, which is going to allow you to create different lists of questions. So if you do need different questions for different class periods, you can go ahead and create those lists and load them in whenever you need to. So do you have any questions regarding the Survey tab?
No, I don't.
Okay. So we've gone over the ability to actually view the student's screen, how we can lock their screen so they're unable to do anything with their devices. We've also gone over the show capability. That's the ability to take whatever's on the teacher screen and broadcast it out to all the students. And, of course, how we can lock down the Internet so that they're unable to actually, view websites that you don't want them to. And then just going over the survey capabilities, that direct question and answer, of course, that's going to give you immediate responses, immediate feedbacks. You can cover some information during class, ask a brief question, and just kind of gauge as to whether or not the students have comprehended exactly what you've gone over. If they haven't, you can go ahead and spend a little bit more time on it. But it does give you that initial feedback so that you're not surprised on test day. You are going to better understand where the class is actually sitting with regards to that particular subject matter.
Right. Okay.
So the only other thing that I need to go over today for the Chromebooks is the actual group capabilities. So you are able to actually divide your class up if you'd like. So I'm going to switch back to the Monitor tab because that's the view that I think is the most useful when you're actually using SoftLINK. So if we wanted to divide our class up, we could actually create different groups of students. And what's nice about these groups is once you create it, you're able to perform functions on those particular groups without performing on the entire class. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these 8 individuals. I'm going to go over this Add button in this particular area of the screen. Notice it's in line with these tabs that I've already created over here. So if I select Add, I'm going to just say that this is our test group, and I'm not going to worry about description. I'll select Next. It's going to ask if I want to go ahead and add my selected individuals to this new group. That's what I want to do, so I just select Finish. And now you're going to notice that I have a tab now that says Test Group. And if I go to my Test Group tab, it only has those 8 individuals that I had selected. So at this point in time, if I wanted to lock down their devices, I could go ahead and select Lock, and it's going to lock those particular students' devices. Okay, if I go back to my All tab that has everyone listed, you'll notice that those are the only 8 individuals that are being locked. Everyone else is still free to do whatever it is they need to do. So it's a very quick and easy way to go ahead and perform functions on certain groups of individuals if you need to without going through and actually selecting each individual each time. And please remember that while you're using SoftLINK, you can perform any of these functions in conjunction with any other functions. So, if we were locking these individuals down, let's say that we wanted to go ahead and deny some internet service to some of these individuals. So we go to our Internet tab. Notice that the locked individuals have this gray screen around them. That indicates they are locked. So let's go ahead and say, Don, we want to allow approved only websites. We're going to say Jake can go anywhere except for the restricted websites. We're going to say that let's see, Mark and Steve, we're going to deny internet access to them completely. So notice that we are able to actually take and assign certain functions to any individuals that we need to. So you can kind of customize it in that manner. You can go ahead and put those restrictions in place for the individuals that need them, and for the individuals that don't need it, there's no need to go ahead and enforce some of those restrictions on them if you don't want to. So I believe that that's the majority of the functionality that you're going to be able to use SoftLINK for in a Chrome classroom. Do you have any questions, concerns? Is there any other information you'd like me to cover a little bit more in depth that we've already covered to this point?
I don't believe so. It looks very straightforward. I think my technology group will be interested in taking and seeing it, trying it in our environment, and I'm looking forward to actually using it in the classroom.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. I do appreciate your time today, and if you have any questions, of course, you can contact us. You can contact me directly, or you can contact our sales department. We can all be reached at 1-800-237-5465, and any one of us would be more than happy to assist you, whether it be for pricing, or if you'd like to even schedule another one of these presentations, if one of your administrators would like to see this, or actually one of your IT personnel would like to attend a live presentation, we'd be happy to set that up for you as well.
All right. Thank you for your time today.
All right. Thank you, and have a great day.